Hey folks, welcome to Guitar Daily. It's Nick Granville coming to you from Wellington, New Zealand. Today I thought I'd talk about my kind of thing with cheap guitars. I realise cheap is relative, right? What one person considers a cheap guitar, another might say, is an expensive guitar. But for me, what I mean by cheap guitars is guitars that are cheap for a pro player, right? And this is a prime example. This is one of my favourite guitars I've ever played. I love this thing. It's great. It's really good now. It's working properly and set up properly. But this wasn't an expensive instrument. It was like, I don't know, maybe a third or a quarter of the price of my other Porry Smith. And it's a great guitar, right? But this got me thinking, right? What is it about the cheaper instruments? Like this one here, this is my Telecaster, right? This is a Highway 1 Telecaster, which was one they did, I think it's 2007, something like that. Yeah, 2007, made in USA. But the Highway ones were some of the cheaper made Telecasters. They put a thinner finish on it, which is where they saved on the cost, right? Bonus, right? It's the way I see it. This I added because I was finding the Telecaster edge a little bit hard, but all the other little dents and chips and whatever, I don't care about that. I care about what it sounds like. And to me, it sounds better when it's got the thin finish. It resonates better. It's not coated in plastic. And the relic thing has become cool. I don't really care. I don't like relic all that much. But you see, I drew my daughter's hand on the back of it to remind me why I'm doing some of the crappy gigs that I do. And I do some good ones as well, I might add. Not all of them are crappy. But yeah, so this guitar wasn't an expensive instrument, And same with probably one of the first good guitars I ever bought was this Les Paul. It's a studio Les Paul, so the studio version, again, thinner finish, no binding, just kind of a raw guitar. But that's why it sounds good. And this one's kind of beat up. It's been broken twice and it's got a bunch of war wounds all over it. But I use this stuff, right? I don't care. It's to me, this is how I make my living, is playing these things. But this one, yeah, again, it's one of my favorite Les Pauls I've ever played. It just rings like mad, and it's got a great tone and just really works. And I think, again, the thin finish for some people can be seen as a negative. To me, it's totally a positive. This guitar too is also another one that I have that I use quite a bit. This is a really good guitar, these AR420s by Ibanez. I hope maybe you'll send my demo about it. If you haven't, then I've done one already. I changed it a little bit, took one volume and one tone off. These aren't expensive instruments in the grand scheme of things, right? They're not low end. All of these really are in the middle range. But these are killer. These are, to me, sounds so much like the Les Paul, but it's a lot more comfortable and a lot more versatile with all the coil taps. It's easier to play because it's less of kind of a boat anchor and all of that. So again, it wasn't an expensive instrument, but it just works. And that's where I think these guitars come into it, these Porry Smith DGTs. I was watching last night Sheila E. on the Tiny Desk concert that she was doing, and her guitar player, you couldn't really see very well because he was kind of tucked in behind her, but he was playing an SE Custom. So there you are, playing on Tiny Desk, where I could write a pretty big gig nowadays, and he's playing an SE version of a Porry Smith, an SE Custom. I played a bunch of SEs. I'm not particularly fussed on a lot of them, but hey, go and try 10 of them and you'll find one that you like. And that's the thing with this guitar. When I played this, it was in bad shape, like it had been messed with by the music shop, I think. But I played a chord. You can hear it just rings. That's the thing. And I do it acoustically. I've heard, I think it was Carl Verheyen was talking about how he checks guitars. As he goes around when they're on the wall, he doesn't even take them off, and he just hits the B string and has a listen, right, to see if it's going to ring properly or not. And that's one of the things, it's sort of, that's a good way of testing it, is that B string thing, because high E's not necessarily going to ring as well as the B. Any of the lower strings aren't always that easy to hear. The B's like that right kind of frequency, but yeah, just love it. So to me, it's that's one of the key things, is what does the sustain do with the instrument? Because there's so many things that can kind of make the guitar be dead, you know, in that sense. And then also, like, what features does it have? How does it feel to play? And most importantly is, what does the guitar make me play? Like, what does it bring out of my playing? Some guitars I've played are too easy to play, and therefore what happens is you just don't, there's no kind of pushback from the instrument. And I find that doesn't necessarily make for good playing, right? I like instruments that have a little bit of give. Like this, it's not that, it's an easy guitar to play, don't get me wrong, but it's not the easiest guitar I've ever played. There's enough give, but enough kind of cool tone too. And also too, I like versatility in instruments. The one thing I like about this guitar is how versatile it is. I could do almost any gig on this guitar. In fact, I'm going to probably take this to the jazz festival gigs this weekend. I was thinking about what I was going to play. But I'll probably take this on the double drum gig on Friday with the 2 drummers, because I'll play heaps of solos on that gig, and I find this is a really good guitar where I play lots of solos. Also, having the coil tap is really handy, you know, because I can coil tap, and then I've got single coil sounds, so for the funk stuff. And then on Saturday I'll probably take my Schofield guitar, because I'll need to a jam session later on too. And I find guitars with whammy bars, if you give them to random people, they'll go and wreck your guitar or something, you know. So fixed tail bridge is probably the safest way to go. And also too, that guitar will do the Refractions album that I'm playing, my album, really well. So I hope you found this useful. Go and try guitars. Now the thing is, you've always got to try them in person when it comes to cheap guitars. When it comes to hiring guitars, you can take a little more of a risk on it, unless it's vintage. That's different. But like, you know, if you're going to buy, say, a high-end Paul Reed Smith, it's probably going to be pretty good straight out of the factory, right? Because they're pretty consistent. But that's not the case with the cheaper guitars. You have to try them in person. So yeah, hope this has been useful. Like I said, my name's Nick Granville. I'm a guitar player from Wellington, New Zealand, and I play guitar professionally. All kinds of music. And I post videos daily on YouTube. If you like what you've seen, then maybe consider subscribing. Doesn't cost anything. Hit the like button. Maybe consider sharing this with your friends, if you know fellow guitar players. But thank you for watching. Cheers.